Have you ever wondered what happens in the silent mind of a strong man standing perfectly still while his world burns with anger inside? The answer is not what you might think. What you don't see may be the very thing that shapes unbreakable self-control. Prepare to uncover secret methods of mastering emotion, embracing the silence where true strength grows. How strong men process anger in silence, controlling emotions. Stoic style. Compiled and published by Stoic Power. Lesson 1. The first surge of silent fire. Beneath a calm exterior, there often rages a silent fire. A sudden flash of anger that burns quietly, warming the soul with its fierce energy, yet without smoke or sound. In everyone's heart, there exists this first spark, the place where emotion ignites unexpectedly, often at the most inconvenient times. Imagine for a moment the world as a vast, echoing hall where the whispers of frustration and the shouts of anger rebound endlessly. This is where most battles begin, not with a raised fist or a cutting word, but with that internal surge that nobody else can see. Many people, perhaps you included, know the agonizing struggle of standing still while inside. Thoughts swirl like a concealed storm. The world tells us to act, to relieve this tension immediately. But the challenge lies not in action, but in mastering the rare and powerful art of doing nothing. This first half second, just before words or gestures escape, holds a unique power. It is the stage on which both disaster and mastery are written. Can you shape the impulse, or will it shape you? Every day, modern life sets the stage for sparks to fly. Maybe it is a coworker's careless comment, a disappointment in the news, or a betrayal that stings deeper than you let on. In these moments, the fire inside threatens to break free, seeking release and retribution. Yet what is seldom discussed is the toll that such immediate reactions take. The way anger unleashed too quickly makes us feel weaker, not stronger. In striving to defend our dignity or stand up for ourselves, we often lose sight of the cost. Fractured relationships, regret-laden words, or simply a haunting sense of lost self-control. This pain point, this universal tendency to react instead of reflect, is where so many falter. You may sometimes look back on an angry outburst, wishing you had held back that phrase that cut too deeply, or that glare that chilled the room. The real conflict here is not between you and the world, but between the silent fire within and the will to contain it. But what if true mastery is found not in the loud defeat of others, but in the quiet conquering of ourselves? Imagine anger as a challenger standing before you in the quiet dojo of your mind. A worthy opponent, fierce but silent. The Stoic tradition, which has endured through centuries of human struggle, teaches us to welcome that first surge of fire as a call to presence, not a signal to attack. When you feel that first heat, it does not mean you are weak or failing. Rather, it is the invitation to reset the story in your head. The transformative solution is simple, almost deceptively so. Hesitate just for a breath. Let the blaze exist, feel its warmth, but do not rush to feed it with rash words or impulsive actions. This moment of pause, silent and focused, is your training ground. As an archer draws his bow, aiming not at a target he can plainly see, but one hidden by mist, you pull back from the knee-jerk reaction, holding your fire in readiness until the aim becomes clear. The core of this lesson is ancient but ever alive. The moment you experience anger is also the moment to choose who you want to become. As you pause, even for the smallest breath, you change both the way the fire behaves and the way it shapes you. Allowing yourself to stand in the heat without moving makes you undefeatable, not because you overpower enemies, but because you do not become a slave to impulse. This is emotional control in its quietest, strongest form, an impact Stoic stance that attracts respect rather than fear, softness rather than resentment. In the silence of those few held heartbeats, you begin to unlock a level of self-mastery others might never know. This silent fire is an inner resource, waiting to be refined and shaped. Practiced over time, this new response will not simply make you a little less reactive, it will begin to change your entire relationship to emotion. Each time you hold the fire, rather than throw it, you are training your mind to see opportunity in every challenge. Your self-respect grows with each silent victory, and something old and powerful in you nods with approval. Yes, you are learning to master the art of not being ruled by your immediate feelings, but of ruling over them with quiet sovereignty. The wisdom here is not cloaked in mystery, but carried by every person who has learned the value of the pause. The methods of the silent Stoic are ordinary, but their effects are extraordinary. By honoring the first surge of silent fire and holding it still, you begin your journey toward true emotional power and peace. Whenever you notice anger's first spark, pause and take one conscious breath, focusing on your heartbeat while letting the feeling exist without reacting. Repeat this step whenever the fire arises. Over time, this simple pause becomes your shield, turning impulse into calm power and attracting newfound respect. Try it today. See how even one breath can change your day. In our next lesson, you'll learn how to navigate the mental storm by mastering Stoic breathing to steady your emotions. Share your experiences, leave a comment to support our growth, and remember to subscribe for the next step in your journey. Lesson 2. Breathing through the mental storm. Picture yourself as a lone ship caught in a sudden storm, waves pounding against your wooden hull, rain blinding your eyes as the wind howls its rage around you. It is here, in this wild confusion, that the true nature of the mind is revealed. When anger or turmoil surges up, it can feel like being lost in that tempest, a small and battered vessel at the mercy of forces far greater than itself. In those breathless moments, when thoughts race like thunder across the sky and your heartbeat pounds the warning drums of war, the challenge is not only outside you. The storm is also in your mind, the place where emotion, memory, and fear twist together, threatening to swallow reason and peace beneath turbulent waves. This feeling, the sense of being swept up and nearly drowned by your own mind, is heartbreakingly familiar. We have all felt the grip of anger and anxiety close around our chest, making even the simplest moments feel impossible to navigate. Perhaps you have noticed how easily a single argument, a harsh word, or a painful reminder can draw you into mental chaos, leading to impulsive actions or words you wish you could take back. Maybe there have been nights where sleep escapes, your mind reliving conflicts or imaginary outcomes as if the storm never truly passes. In daily life, small irritations and deeper wounds can both unleash inner storms, pulling you far from the calm strength you desire. This is the silent struggle of emotional mastery. The hard truth that knowing we should stay steady is very different from actually being able to do so when it counts. What keeps so many people trapped in this cycle is the illusion that fighting the storm means meeting its fury with even more force, shouting back at your racing thoughts, ignoring tension in your body, or pretending you are already calm. This approach only makes the storm worse, leaving you feeling even less in control, adrift without anchor or compass. Emotional rockets misfire, sending energy through your nerves and muscles, leaving a trail of exhaustion and regret. The pain of losing control, hoping you can regain it with sheer willpower, breeds more frustration, feeding the very storm you wish to escape. This is where the cycle becomes almost impossible to break, because willpower tires quickly. The storm can last longer than you can simply hold on. Yet, there is an ancient and powerful technique, a lifeline handed down in the Stoic tradition, older than empires and as reliable as the tide. In the eye of the storm, you possess a tool so simple and accessible that it is almost overlooked: your breath. Just as a seasoned sailor does not curse the wind but works with it, tuning the sails to ride out the squall, you can use mindful breathing to guide your mind through chaos. The transformative solution is not to battle emotion with bare hands, but to enter your breath as if it were a safe harbor. In the very moment your mind feels lost, remember that each breath is an anchor you can drop, each exhalation a weight to steady you against the storm's pull. Breathing through the mental storm means paying deep attention to your inhale and exhale, letting each breath restore order to scattered thoughts. Picture the breath as the line that tethers you to your center, no matter how wild the seas become. It is the constant rhythm beneath the chaos, older than your fears and strong enough to hold you steady. This technique does not suppress or ignore difficult emotions. Instead, it allows you to witness them calmly, like a silent captain scanning the horizon from the security of the ship's bridge. As you slowly inhale, you draw in focus and life. As you gently release that breath, you send out tension and fog, regaining the clarity hidden beneath mental storms. Each time you do this, you unlock a little more self-mastery, noticing that the ocean of your mind, even in its wildest moments, can be crossed safely if you know where your anchor lies. The benefits of this approach begin with calm, but deepen profoundly over time. Mindful breathing restores peace in the very spaces where chaos once ruled, training your mind to find calm, not just when it is easy, but exactly when it is hardest. Worries lose their edge, anger loosens its grip, and fear fades to a whisper, unable to claim you as its own. The connection between body and mind resets. You become not the panicked ship racing the gale, but the silent stoic captain, clear-eyed and undefeatable, steering through darkness with trust in the power of your own will. This wisdom is quiet, rooted in the ancient knowledge that true mastery comes from knowing that no feeling, no matter how intense, is more powerful than the calm chosen in the heart of the storm. Each day you practice, you are training your mind, not just to survive life's storms, but to use them as your proving ground, where emotional control and unshakable presence are unlocked and refined. When chaos comes, pause and breathe deeply in through your nose, hold, then breathe out slowly through your mouth. Repeat this until you feel tension leave your body. This calm restores your power, making emotional storms lose their hold. Practice now and prepare for Lesson 3, where stillness will transform anger into untouchable strength. Share your progress, subscribe, and help strengthen our community. Lesson 3. Anger without action builds strength. Imagine standing atop a mountain at dawn, shrouded in icy mist, the roar of a distant storm echoing in your bones. Within you there's a tidal surge, a raw, restless energy that pounds beneath your ribs with the insistence of an ocean wave against a jagged cliff. This is anger, old as thunder, sharp and sudden, yet quietly demanding release. Most people, when they feel this storm rise, believe the only path forward is to let the wave crash, to shout, strike, or slam the door. But there is another way, a higher path marked by immense strength and invisible power. It is the path of silent endurance, choosing not to act in anger's first flash, and standing still amidst the disruption with a gaze as steady as an ancient mountain. For many, the greatest struggle is what to do with anger when it feels too big for the body to hold. Picture how it crawls up the spine and sits in the chest, hot and restless, its pressure building with every injustice or insult. The modern world, driven by speed and instant gratification, tells us to express every emotion quickly. If we're angry, we're expected to vent or act, sometimes regretting our words just moments later. This internal conflict can feel like a tug of war between what feels natural and what is wise. It often shows up in daily frustrations. A boss ignoring your work, a loved one making a cutting remark, a stranger being rude in traffic. The moment the anger rises, your body craves relief. A burst of words, a sharp reply, a cathartic slam of the fist. Yet, more often than not, this only fuels regret and saps the very strength you hope to claim. The pain point is universal. The world teaches us to equate power with action, especially in moments of strong emotion. We begin to think that real strength is proven by how forceful or immediate our response is. After an outburst, though, the ache of consequences sets in. From fractured relationships to a lingering shame that gnaws quietly at your confidence. Anger, when misdirected into action, often becomes a source of chaos or destruction rather than a force for positive change. Many people carry the weight of things said in a storm, words thrown like rocks they cannot retrieve, actions they later wish they had never unleashed. You might remember times when releasing your anger gave no real relief, just an emptiness or painful aftermath. This is the quiet regret that follows the noise, a sign that perhaps power is not in what is released, but in what is restrained. Yet the wisdom of the Stoics, stretching across centuries, offers a gentle but powerful contradiction. What if holding anger without action could be both a shield and a forge? Imagine anger as that heat raging inside a blacksmith's furnace. If allowed to spill out unchanged, it scorches and destroys. If instead held patiently, it tempers steel, making the blade unbreakable. The transformative solution here is learning to recognize anger as an internal force to be harnessed, not expelled. The act of not acting, of holding the energy within, being with the tension, is itself a discipline, a kind of silent training that strengthens resolve and sharpens self-awareness. Each time you feel the surge and choose stillness over reaction, you build a core of undefeatable strength inside. You become a vessel strong enough to hold the storm instead of being torn apart by it. This is neither repression nor denial. It is mindful, purposeful discipline. By not giving the anger an immediate outlet, you are granting yourself time to absorb its lessons and transform its power. Rather than an archer who looses every arrow in impatience, you become the one who waits, who studies the wind, and only lets the arrow fly when the aim is true. The benefits of this strategy begin subtly, but grow profound. You master your emotions, inviting a deep sense of stability and control. You become more attractive to others, not through loud display, but by radiating the silent confidence of someone unhurried and restrained, a presence others feel but cannot quite explain. Where others fear the intensity of their anger, you see it as the very force that tempers your will, transforming fear into an opportunity for growth and insight. This approach is not a restriction, but a key. It unlocks the power of what is possible when you control the fire, rather than letting it control you. The wisdom is timeless, yet it feels utterly new when you practice it. The art of holding your anger within so it refines instead of destroys, and makes real strength not in what you do first, but in what you become by training your mind in stillness. When anger rises, pause and consciously hold the energy in your body, resisting the impulse to act. Reflect on the feeling without judgment and choose silence over reaction. This steady discipline transforms raw emotion into calm strength. Practice today. In the next lesson, learn how your inner judgment becomes your shield. Comment thoughts, subscribe, and help this Stoic community grow. Lesson 4. The Watchtower of Inner Judgment. Imagine a high watchtower standing alone on the edge of a powerful, restless sea. Day and night, storms roll in, thunder crashes, dark shapes loom on the waves. But the watchman above sees everything, unmoved by the chaos below. He is vigilant, quietly steady, recording every movement, but letting no alarm rule his reason. This image is not distant fantasy. It is the living mind of anyone striving for emotional mastery. The world is the sea, full of unpredictable surges and tempests, but deep within there is the possibility to become your own watchman, surveying the landscape not with blind reaction, but with calm, sharp inner judgment. Almost every day, life tests this inner watchtower. Some days it might be a harsh word from a friend, an unexpected failure, or news that rattles your spirit. Emotion rises instantly, calling for an immediate response. Inside, a familiar battle unfolds. Should you trust in the first surge of anger, or is there a way to respond more wisely? It can seem impossible when emotions are loud, each wave crashing, demanding your attention and your energy. Many people feel caught between shame for being too emotional and frustration with themselves for not expressing how they truly feel. This paradox leads to guilt, either for holding back or for letting emotions loose in regrettable ways. You may look back on moments and wonder, why did I react so quickly? Why do I feel so shaken by small things? Why do the judgments or emotions of others disturb me so deeply? These are questions asked by anyone who stands in the storms of daily life, longing for stability. The problem at the heart of this conflict is the tendency to believe every feeling, every external challenge requires instant acceptance or immediate reaction. Most of us confuse emotional noise for truth, letting others' words, societal standards, or our own passing moods dictate who we are. In this way, the mind becomes less a watchtower and more a broken gate, flying open at every gust of wind. This creates anxiety, exhaustion, and the real fear that we are not in control of our own selves. We forget that judgment, when used rightly, is a shield and not a burden, a way to hold each situation in front of us and see it for what it is, rather than what it feels like in a single heated moment. The Stoic solution, surprisingly accessible, yet as old as the ancient stars, is the art of pausing to use your own inner judgment before responding. Picture yourself as a captain on a shadowed sea, steering not by every sudden wind, but by patiently reading the stars. Each star a guiding principle of reason, kindness, and self-respect. In this practice, you become the observer of your thoughts and emotions, instead of being endlessly swept away by them. When a troublesome emotion arises, step back mentally and simply watch it, naming it quietly without shame. This is annoyance, this is hurt, this is anger. From this stillness, you gain clarity and the influence of others diminishes. Emotional mastery begins when you judge your own experiences with honesty, gentleness, and perspective, rather than surrendering instantly to old habits. As you build this watchtower of inner judgment, its benefits grow. You react less and reflect more, making fewer decisions you later regret. You unlock a deep strength, discovering that the judgments of others, no matter how intense, do not have the power to define you unless you permit them. Genuine self-respect arises, rooted not in noisy defense or approval-seeking, but in the quiet certainty that you are the judge of your own mind. These small daily acts of discernment are arrows that always find their mark, and the person who learns them stands undefeated by storms. The ancient wisdom is simple but far from passive. It lives each time you stand back, breathe, observe, and only then choose your course. By training your mind as a watchman, you prepare yourself for anything, always steady at the helm, no matter how wild the sea below. When emotions rise, pause to name each feeling silently, observe your reaction, and choose a calm response. This approach strengthens your judgment, makes you resilient, and helps you face criticism with composure. Try this reflective practice now. In our next lesson, you will learn to transform rage into thoughtful action. Comment your insights, subscribe, and support our growing community. Lesson 5. From Rage to Rational Resolve. Picture the image of a sword being forged. A bar of crude iron heated by fire, pounded by the hammer, then plunged into water, over and over, until it emerges unbreakable, gleaming, and perfectly balanced. Raw rage is like that molten iron, untamed, unstable, and at first only good for destruction. But beneath the noise of boiling anger lies the power to refine, bring clarity, and reshape your life with cool purpose. To master this transformation is to turn from being a slave to wild emotion to the quiet architect of your own destiny. A practice that calls not for denial, but for a fundamental shift in approach to what angers you. The reality is, everyone meets moments when rage surges up suddenly and fiercely. You may recall times when you were stung by injustice, criticized unfairly, or betrayed by someone trusted. Instinct arrives quickly. Voices rise, fists clench, the urge to retaliate or lash out presses hard against restraint. Later, regret shadows the memory. Words that wounded, decisions made in heat, opportunities missed for dignity or progress. You might ask, why does my anger master me instead of strengthening me? Why does lashing out always seem to backfire? Deep down, what many long for is not the chance to explode, but the strength to wield that energy wisely and for lasting good. The painful trap is believing that uncontrolled release is the only answer, or that true self-respect comes from venting rage in the moment. In a culture that values instant expression and intensity, it's easy to equate emotional force with power. But again and again, this only increases damage. Apologies needing to be made, relationships strained, reputations chipped away. Many find themselves spinning in cycles, angry, then remorseful, exhausted by the rise and fall of their own unpredictability. They feel weaker instead of undefeatable, more fear-driven than free. The promise of relief is lost in the ashes of shattered self-control. The truth at the heart of Stoic tradition is that real strength is never found in eruption, but in redirection. Imagine the disciplined archer who never wastes arrows. He does not fire blindly in the rush of impatience. He waits, studies, and lets his aim transform frustration into precision. In transforming rage into rational resolve, you learn to become that archer, channeling powerful storm currents into waves that propel you toward worthwhile shores, not toward senseless shipwreck. The transformative solution: resist the urge to act at the peak of anger. Instead, pause and take inventory. What outcome would truly serve you and uphold the person you wish to be? This mental pause is like adding iron to the forge, extending the heat not so that you burn, but so your will has time to shape the emotion. With quiet, focused reflection, you are able to examine what truly happened. Why are you angry? What is beneath the surface? What would bring real resolution? In seeking not to react, but to rethink, you catch the moment and change its direction entirely. Suddenly, instead of enemy, your emotion becomes your ally. Slow the mind as you would steady your hands for delicate work. Think in terms of long-term consequences and the real legacy you want to leave, not just the brief satisfaction of venting. The core benefit of this shift is becoming stronger every time you bring reason to work alongside feeling. You don't shrink your anger, you convert it into a powerful motive to speak with dignity, to stand up for yourself at the right moment, to take action that repairs rather than destroys. Those who learn this approach quickly discover their relationships improve, their influence grows, even their sense of self-compassion deepens. The emotional storms lose their menace. You become the ship that uses the wind to sail further instead of being wrecked against the rocks. This is how a man or anyone trains to unlock inner peace, create real impact, and walk the silent Stoic path with head held high. The secret is not to extinguish your fire, but to let it illuminate the way towards something greater, forging not only strength, but a character that can never be broken. When rage appears, pause, breathe deeply, and ask yourself what response would truly lead to growth. Visualize your best self before speaking or acting. This thoughtful pause shifts anger into determination, giving you control and dignity. Practice today. In our next lesson, you'll discover how holding fury sharpens focus. Leave your thoughts, subscribe, and help our Stoic circle thrive. Lesson 6. Containing fury, cultivating focus. Imagine a great river that, after a sudden storm, threatens to flood its banks with wild, muddy waters. Left unchecked, the torrent scours the land, destroys crops, and stains the world in its anger. But if channeled with care by the hands of an expert engineer, its power can turn wheels, nourish gardens, and sculpt beauty from chaos. This is the story of human fury, the surge of fire that, if left uncontained, overwhelms us and washes away reason. But if harnessed thoughtfully, becomes a source of unprecedented focus, resilience, and personal strength. Fury can feel like a wild flood within you, especially during moments of pressure, disappointment, or injustice, when your spirit bristles and your instincts shout to unleash the full force of your hurt. Yet within each of us lies the capacity not merely to withstand this inner storm, but to direct it quietly, to create something purposeful and lasting. For so many, the challenge is not in feeling anger. This is the birthright of all who care deeply, but in preventing that feeling from scattering energy, ruining focus, and wasting opportunities for growth. Picture yourself as a diligent archer, bow in hand. Each time fury threatens to overwhelm, you feel your arm tremble, your mind race, arrows nearly let loose without any aim. You are not alone in this. Emotional mastery isn't an accident, and almost everyone knows the sinking feeling of efforts undone or relationships strained because a moment's rage ran wild. You try to read, to work, to love, to stay present, but repeated interruptions of your own anger keep you circling the same old battlefield. It is easy to be distracted, easy to poison your focus with resentment, replaying wounds in your mind until they drown all clarity. This is the core of a common pain, anger's ability to scatter your energies and blind you to the real goals in life. When all of your resources flow in 10 directions at once, one current sweeping toward reliving a past injustice, another toward imagined future conflicts, you expend so much strength for so little return. The very force inside you, which could be channeled to build or to heal, is spent in an endless swirl of distraction and fatigue. Perhaps you have found yourself exhausted at the end of an angry day, wondering where the hours went, or mystified at how small frustrations have grown so loud they drown out your plans and passions. This is the hidden cost many pay. Not in drama on the outside, but in opportunities lost day after day to the turbulence of emotional overflow. The transformative solution is both humble and revolutionary. Contain the fury, and you cultivate a laser focus that few achieve. Imagine now that wild river not left to flood or dissipate, but redirected by strong, deliberate hands. Sluice gates open just enough, the stream narrow and purposeful, its energy made to turn the mill of intention. This solution begins not by denying your feelings, nor by shutting down emotion, but by deeply accepting your anger as energy, and then consciously tightening your attention onto a single goal or action. When the urge to burst out or distract yourself comes, breathe, look inward, and accept the discomfort. Instead of letting your focus fracture, hold the energy in your body like that disciplined archer, bow drawn, sight fixed unwaveringly on the target before you. With each breath, redirect that wild current into your chosen task, whether it's work to be done, a conversation to be held, or simply the commitment to sit quietly and reflect rather than explode. As you channel this fire, you will begin to notice that the mind itself grows steadier, like a warrior sharpening his thoughts on the whetstone of discipline. Slowly, the scattered noise recedes, and what remains is intention. A clear, vital presence that feels ancient, rooted, and alive. The world's distractions soften, and each challenge that comes reveals itself as a chance to practice this stoic impact, remaining silent, steadfast, and focused whenever inner storms arise, turning the chaos within into pure, quiet power. As you cultivate this approach, you not only master your emotions, but become irresistibly attractive to others as someone who appears unshakable, wise, and calm amidst the noise. You become, quite simply, undefeatable, not by avoiding the storm, but by learning how to steer your ship with unwavering focus, straight through it, every time. When anger rises, pause and stop yourself from reacting. Focus all energy on a single useful action or pressing goal. Notice how your mind clears and your inner calm strengthens with practice. Begin today by channeling that energy intentionally. In our next lesson, you will learn the steps to silent mastery over emotional chaos. Subscribe, share your experience, and join our growing journey. Lesson 7. Silent Mastery over Emotional Chaos. Picture the world as a vast, turbulent ocean under a darkened sky. A place where waves of chaos, uncertainty, and emotion crash endlessly against the trembling hull of your ship. Somewhere on this wide sea, in the eye of the swirling storm, stands the silent Stoic, alone yet deeply rooted, unmoved while the tempest rages all around. Imagine your mind as the guiding compass in the midst of it all, steadily fixed, calmly illuminating your chosen direction, a silent beacon that neither the wind nor water can extinguish. This image holds a secret promise. The shift from merely surviving storms to mastering them, from being tossed helplessly by emotion to steering through its wildest currents with quiet authority and purpose. Every soul encounters these storms. One minute brings calm, and the next erupts with conflict, panic, or fear. The heart quickens, the brow furrows, 1,000 thoughts fire at once. You've felt those moments, when words suddenly fail you or come out sharp and raw, when you feel crushed under expectation or blanketed by frustration, anger, and hopelessness. So often, it's not the outside event that rattles you most, but the frenzied symphony inside. Memories clashing with fears, hope wrestling with disappointment, your best intentions overtaken by a chorus of doubt and emotional noise. The inner chaos is relentless and familiar, whether provoked by a sudden crisis, a bruised ego, or a plan you watch slip away. The recurring worry is real. Can I truly control myself when chaos descends? Is there any way to walk calmly through the storm, or will I always be ruled by these waves? That's where the pain sharpens. Many people live suspended in fear of these inner storms, afraid that all of their growth and resolve will crumble the moment tempests rise. Some react, oscillating between explosions of anger and long retreats of silent suffering. Others numb themselves, suppressing emotion so fiercely it returns as anxiety, stress, or deep emptiness. The exhausting pattern of reacting or withdrawing, time and again, leaves even the strongest feeling powerless, a vessel at the whim of every new wind and wave. The relentless drama can seem inescapable, draining drive, clouding reason, shaking confidence, and casting shadows over joy. The world notices too, responding not to your best intentions or quiet hopes, but to the visible chaos that leaks from within. You might worry that this lack of inner mastery disqualifies you from progress, from influence, from being respected and trusted. But the ancient wisdom you've been building in every lesson before now offers another path, a Stoic's silent mastery. Instead of seeing inner chaos as your enemy, you learn to witness it as raw, living energy that carries tremendous opportunity. The transformative solution lies not in denying the existence of these storms or perfecting the unnatural calm of stone, but in stepping inward to meet chaos with mindful presence. You develop the skill of turning your attention inward with the same discipline as a ship's captain, scanning the horizon for signs, or like an archer, tightly focused even as thunder rolls overhead. Acknowledge the feelings and mental commotion without feeding them. Use every pulse of anxiety or anger as a moment to pause, observe, and then address your true needs instead of launching into reflex reactions. When you welcome the full expanse of inner noise with a grounded, quiet awareness, the chaos loses its grip. It becomes background music rather than a dangerous storm. Silent mastery over emotional chaos is about rising above tumult, not by fleeing from your emotions, but by learning to stand near them as their unmovable witness. This skill shifts you from living on defense, always waiting for problems to subside, to a position where you create your own weather, steady, clear, and unstoppable regardless of what happens around you. The benefits reach every dimension of life. Decisions come easier and truer when filtered through calm. Relationships deepen because your presence soothes instead of stirs. Fear shrinks when you see it fully and call it by name. Others begin to recognize an authenticity and presence in you that quietly attracts respect, trust, and even admiration. Through daily training, chaos no longer defines you. You, the silent Stoic, shape the storm's meaning, forging your strength and your freedom right at the center of it all. Whenever emotion surges, pause and turn your attention inward. Name the feeling, listen to its story, and then choose a calm response before acting. Repeat this daily to build inner stillness. As you practice, you will notice greater self-mastery, steady confidence, and newfound peace, proving the storm within can become the strength that defines your journey forward. You've now discovered the quiet strength of mastering anger with Stoic wisdom, from the first silent surge to calm resolve amid life's chaos. Thank you for joining this journey toward greater self-control and peace. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to support our channel and stay inspired on your path.